We got that Earthbound theme that I talked about the other day with some major power-ups and one of the best generic spell cards that I've ever seen in the game's history. Some big 30% of you that have not smashed the ever-living crap out of that subscribe button. Smash it so you guys don't miss out more awesome content. It is Earthbound Immortal time. Actually, just Earthbound time. So this is Earthbound Prisoner Groundkeeper. And this art is actually a pretty cool upgrade. So this is going to be a nice level 1 Dark Fiend Tuner monster. Gotta love those Fiend Tuners. If this card is normal or special summon, you can special summon one level 5 or lower Earthbound monster from your deck or graveyard except for Prison Keeper. Also, you cannot special summon monsters for the extra deck for the rest of this turn except for Fusion and Synchro. It's actually going to be very relevant for this deck, but, you know, they didn't want to give the deck a Link 1 or anything, right? And then Earthbound monsters you control cannot be destroyed by battle or card effects. Well, this card... or while there's a card in your field zone. Hey, look, that's the generic effect that we have for, you know, all the other Earthbound Immortals. You know, they get to stick around, you know, via field spell. So we got some little retention for that. We also have Earthbound Prisoner Stone Sweeper. This actually looks kind of cool. You know, charge a little laser out of his mouth here. So you can only special summon this card with the first effect of this card's name once per turn. You can only use the second effect of this card's name once per turn. If there's a card in your field zone, special summon this card from your hand. Well, you don't say. It is a level 5, by the way. You can discard this card to add one level 3 or lower Fiend Tuner monster from your deck to your hand. You cannot special summon monsters from the extra deck for the rest of this turn except for Fusion and Synchro. Man, I could have thought of like 900 cool ways to abuse this, but they had to go, oh, hey, you wanted to discard this to search for a, you know, a level 3 or lower Fiend Tuner? It's okay. We're going to take away Link Summoning and Exceed Summon options from you. I think the card is pretty decent for what it actually kind of brings to the table in terms of searchability. It stinks that they had to strap on that last little line there. Next up is the Earthbound Prisoner Line Walker. So we now have 2 Line Walkers in the course of the game, but that's fine. This is a level 3, by the way, 800 attack, 1100 defense. That's another tuner. Wow, so we have 2 tuners. Oh boy. So if this card is no more special summon, you can add 1 Earthbound Prison or Harmonics Synchro Fusion from your deck or your graveyard to your hand, actually. So this will toggle for both. If you control a level 6 or higher Earthbound monster, you can banish this card from your graveyard and then target one opponent's effect monster, special summon from the extra deck, shuffle it into the deck, and then your opponent can special summon one monster with the same name from their extra deck. Now, for the second effect of this, yeah, you are essentially taking away the properly special summoned clause or whatever it was from it. This also doesn't bypass summoning conditions. So it's kind of interesting, but I mean, in terms of a searcher, this is really good. Next up is the Earthbound Servant Geo-Kraken, and this is going to be 2 Earthbound monsters to make it. So right off the bat, you have your very generic super poly target if this deck actually takes off. I love the fact that they tend to like to do that. You only use the first effect of this card's name once per turn. If this card is special summoned, you can add a field spell from your deck or a graveyard to your hand. You know, they really do love in these animation chronicles giving these decks the ability to search for field spells. I don't know what it is, but I guess. If a monster is special summoned from your opponent's extra deck, you can destroy as many of those special summoned monsters this turn as possible, and if you do, inflict 800 damage to your opponent for each destroyed by this effect. Hey, you remember that previous monster that lets you banish it from the graveyard, go ahead and give your opponent the ability to special summon, you know, something else? Well, hey, this little guy right here gives you the ability to destroy that, so you can go ahead and do your thing. I'm just glad that this searches for a field spell, at least for immediate value. And then we have the big Earthbound here. This is the Earthbound Servant Geolobulus or Geogracia. This is going to be 3,000 attack, 1,800 defense. This is going to be an Earthbound Fusion monster plus an Earthbound Synchro monster. Oh boy, we're really getting out here. Must be Fusion summoned. Well, they want my hopes and dreams. You can only use the second effect of this card's name once per turn. At the start of the damage step, if this card battles a monster, change that monster's attack and defense to 0. Okay, well that's pretty decent. And when an opponent's monster is destroyed by battle card effect, and destroy all cards they control. Okay. If this face-up card leaves the field by an opponent, you can special summon an Earthbound monster from your deck or extra deck. This floats. That's pretty good. This is an incredibly good boss monster, honestly. I like what they brought to the table for this, because this opens up some pretty cool play lines, I think, for the deck. Summoning conditions are a little bit harsh, but I mean, that's fine. Next up is the Earthbound Servant Geo Gremlin. That's got a little scary guy. Okay, so 1 Dark Tuner plus 1 non-tuner. Okay, it is generic. You can only use the first second effects of this card's name once per turn. During your main phase, quick effect, target one face of monster your opponent controls. Your opponent chooses one of these effects for you to apply. Why? You can destroy that monster, gain life points to that monster tag. Well, your opponent is always more than likely just going to hand you the life points. Unless they want to pop the card to, get immediate value. During the battle phase, quick effect, you can fusion summon 1 Earthbound fusion monster from your extra deck by banishing fusion materials mentioned on it from your hand, field, and or graveyard. Well, that's not a bad clause, actually. It's another fusion card that lets you get some little extra advantage. So, okay, I'll take that. It's a lot better than what we were doing with that first clause. Next up is the Earthbound Servant Geo Griffin. So this is a Dark Tuner plus a non-tuner. On what, a level 8? Yeah. 2500, 1500 defense. Quick effect. So summon 1 Earthbound monster from your graveyard in defense position except for Geo Griffin. And you cannot special summon from the extra deck for the rest of this turn except for Fusion and Synchro. I mean, always was. If this card is destroyed by your opponent, you destroy 1 card in the field and inflict 300 damage to your opponent for each Earthbound monster with a different name that you control and in your graveyard. I mean, the big thing here is it's a level 8 that gives you a revive from the graveyard for any Earthbound. That seems pretty decent in my opinion. Like, the floating options are usually pretty good for, decks like this. So, I'll take that. Like, it feels pretty good. Next up is our field spell. We needed something, hopefully, for this deck. When this card is activated, you can target 1 effect monster your opponent controls. This card gains this effect. Negate that monster's effect. Okay, well, it's essentially Mystic Mine at home, I guess. During your main phase, you can normal summon 1 Earthbound monster in addition to your normal summoner set. Okay, sure. If this card is destroyed by an opponent's card effect, and you have an Earthbound monster on your field and or in your graveyard, half your opponent's life points, and if you negate the effects of all face-up cards they currently control till the end of the turn. Well, I hope that your opponent is not... I hope that my opponent is not going to make any sort of attempt to pop this, because I wouldn't want to watch their life points mysteriously get halved out of nowhere, and then they get all of their cards negated till the end of the turn. But that's an incredibly cute spell card for the field. And then we have the card that I actually quite like. This is Otherworldly Harmonics, or Harmonic Synchro Fusion. And this art is so cool. So you can only activate 1 card with this card's name per turn, and you cannot special summon monsters from the extra deck the turn you activate this effect, except for Fusion and Synchro monsters. Well, it's okay that they put the stipulation on that because we needed it. Send 2 face-up monsters you control to the graveyard, 1 tuner, 1 non-tuner. Special summon 1 fusion monster and 1 synchro monster from your extra deck that can be fusion and synchro summoned using only the sent monsters in the graveyard as material. Congratulations. You have officially played this game long enough to see Konami release one of the really, really cool cards that gives you a dual summon. Now, I think this opens up the door for us to get that potential, what is it, the fusion spell that does like a double fusion with the monsters. I honestly think that would be really cool. But this, I can't think of a lot of crazy things that you can do with it just yet. I'm sure as people kind of get the day going here, more and more people are going to take a look at this and they're going to go, oh boy, that's really good. And, the more generic things that you can have with this card existing, I think is going to be particularly interesting. Power cards like this are what make the game very interesting to me. So overall, support is pretty interesting. These were very good upgrades. Like, they actually did wonderful with these. I'm just kind of curious to know what we can do with them. So please, leave a comment down below, tell me what you guys think, and I'll see your beautiful faces back here later in the day, guys. Peace out. Patrons! Thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.